In the last video, I showed you how to design this coaster in Fusion 360, and in this one, I'm going to show you how to program it for your CNC. I'll show you how to set up the material inside of Fusion 360, how to choose basic cutting tools, all the important parameters for contour cuts and pocket cuts, how to add tabs so your part doesn't pop out, and how to create a file that your CNC needs to run. Let's get started. It's time to start the programming for this coaster. So we're going to go up to this tab and click the manufacturing tab. And this is our cam setup. I'm going to show you how quick it can be to start cutting. The first thing we're going to do is just click 2D Pocket. The tool we're going to select, I'm going to select this 1/4 inch end mill. There's also a ton of vendor tools you can go through, fill in the information, and go from there. My speeds and feeds are typically 12,000 RPM and 100 inches per minute. Most of these hobby machines can't do much more than that. You can always check the manufacturing data to get a rough idea of where you should start. So we're going to be using a 1/4 inch end mill. And then once we have our tool selected, you're going to go to the Geometry tab. Click here and press OK. And there you have it. That is your first program on the CNC. So that's literally all you need to get your first program programmed. But there's a few things we're going to change on it. And the first thing we want to actually do is look at our setup. So over here, you're going to see a setup file was created. You're going to right click, say edit. And this yellow box is basically the piece of wood that you're going to be cutting into. It's your stock. And you can see that because we made our model on the top axis, starting from the origin, you're going to see that the Z-axis is the same as in our design tab, as are the X and the Y, which makes cam life a lot easier. So although this is all you need to do to get a program running, I do want to show you a couple things that you might be interested in. So over where this program is, you're going to right click and say edit. And this will obviously open up a tab so that you can edit anything that you've already done. We picked our geometry, and these are the heights. And basically you have a clearance height, a retract height, and you can see that the feed height is 0.2 above the top surface, and the green one is this feed height. And you can see that kind of change as you click and drag it. Bring that down there. The bottom height is where the selected contour is. Every once in a while you might want to change this, but for the most part, this tab is going to stay the same. But in the passes tab, there might be some things you want to change. This has stock to leave already checked. And for this program, just to keep it simple, I'm going to take this off. The only thing I'm going to change is multiple depths. I'm going to click on multiple depths. And I'm going to make the maximum roughing pass to 0.125. And what this does is it'll make sure that it doesn't really dig in and push the material out of the way. We're going to be using the blue tape method, so I like to be very conservative on my depth of cut. And that's the only thing I'm going to change in here. This is the one that you kind of want to remember in case you're doing deeper pockets especially. Then over in linking tab, once again, we are just going to leave everything in here the same. But it's good to know that you have a bunch of different options, and I highly recommend going in and playing with them. It's kind of cool that you can change them and then see how it changes within the program just visually. So we'll press OK. So now you can see rather than just one pass, it's doing 2 passes. You can see 2 lines in here. So that's at 2 depths. Now we're going to do our contour cut. So basically we're going to cut out our coaster. For that, we'll do 2D contour. It selects the latest tool you were using. We can skip the multi-axis tab. We'll go to geometry. We're going to click this bottom profile and we're going to press OK. And once again, you can see that it makes a program for you. That's all you had to do. You just had to click your profile, but this bit is plunging straight down and then ripping around. Especially if you're doing a blue tape method or you don't have any tabs in, this will not work. You're going to start turning this piece. It's literally not being held down by anything. So we're going to change that. We're going to right click and say edit. Go into geometry and we'll add some tabs for this one. We're going to do a 1/4 inch width, 0.125 height. And the tab distance we'll do a 3. And now we'll press OK. So it's still going straight down, which we probably don't like. But at least now it's being held in place. Now, we're still asking an awful lot of our bit to go straight down like this and do a full profile cut at the full depth. So we're going to edit that next. So we'll go to the 2D contour, right click and edit, but we'll head over to passes. We're going to scroll down to multiple depths. It's already set to 0.125, and we'll just leave that as it is. And that's the only thing we're going to change in here. Obviously, there is a lot more, but to get you started, this is the main one I would remember. Multiple depths and keeping it more of a shallow pass, especially if you're just starting out. Now we'll head over to the linking tab. Once again, take a look at what everything is. If you hover over these 3 dots to the right, it will give you some more detail of what each thing is. But for now, we're just going to leave that all the same. I want to keep this as simple as possible for you. Press OK. And that's it. Now you have a working program. But like I said, these tabs are great if you're going to be using clamps, but I'm actually going to be using the blue tape method. So these tabs aren't really necessary. So I'm going to go back into our 2D contour, say edit. We're going to turn off tabs. And under multiple depths, there's a finishing step down. And what this does is it'll be some very small steps at the bottom. I want to do 1. And I'm going to make it 20 thousandths of an inch. This gives some area for the part to hold down before our final cut. So the last cut is pretty shallow and won't take a ton of force to cut through that last bit. And we'll press OK. There we go. Once again, we can go to our side. And you can see that there's a small step down here before it hits the bottom. So this is really all you need to do to get moving with your cam. It's very simple. Fusion 360 has come a long way and makes it quite easy to get started. I do want to show you a couple things in the setup really quick. So we're going to right click and say edit. Typically, you're going to have a bigger piece of wood or stock. So we're going to go into the stock and we're going to change the relative box size to a fixed box. And the way to imagine this is you have a chunk of wood. And that chunk of wood's already to a fixed size. So we'll change our height to 0.47. And let's just make up numbers. Let's say we have a 6" by 6". So now our stock is a 6" by 6" by 0.47, which might be a perfect piece of ply that you have. And we'll press OK. And an error pops up over here saying that the model's not right anymore. We can right click on our setup and say generate. It'll go through and it'll recalculate everything for you. Now all we need to do is make our, once again, we're going to hover over setup, right click and say create NC program. If this is the first time you're opening it, you're going to want to change your post. It'll probably be empty. So you're going to click on this folder. And then under the Fusion library, there's going to be a ton of them and you just need to figure out which one you're going to be using. For me, it was the ArtSoft Mach 3, wherever that is. ArtSoft Mach 3 mil. Select it and press OK. You're going to name it, and I usually name mine what it is, the bit I'm going to be using, and then the size of the stock, 6 by 6 by 0.47. This way I know exactly what I'm cutting into and what I'll be cutting. The rest on this side can stay the same. And then over on this side, the only one I change is the safe retract. Typically it'll be set to G28 or G53, but I like to just set it to clearance height. And what this does is once the program's finished running, it's just gonna lift up to the clearance height that we have set in our program. Now we can say post, and it's saved under Documents, Fusion 360, NC Program. You'll see Coaster, and you'll see it right here. So that's it. You made your first G-code program for your CNC, and the next step is going to be holding it down so that we can get it cut out nicely. And that's what we're going to be talking about in the next video. I'm going to be going over my 2 favorite clamping methods and one that I do not recommend. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it, and I'll see you for the next video.